You're listening to Maneuvering Mondays, a podcast about transforming work culture. In this first part of the episode, we follow the fictional story of Marie, who's an HR manager in the edtech company Zebra Apps, as she maneuvers the challenges of transforming their work culture.
The salary bands for the engineering department were now published on the intranet. Esther had pulled the numbers from their HR system and made a colour-coded spreadsheet. The finance department had also elected to have their salary bands published. To Marie's surprise, the finance department's pay was very equal, to the cent. During breakfast that Friday morning, Marie was sitting next to Aisha from finance. "Have you spoken about salary disparities in finance at some point?" Marie asked Aisha. "I noticed that your salaries are very much aligned." "Frank was a big proponent of transparency when it comes to pay," Aisha said. "When anyone new joined, he would provide them with the current salaries of the employees and negotiate based on the full team salary." "Wasn't that weird for you when you joined?" Marie asked. "It was," Aisha said. "I felt like I couldn't ask for what I actually wanted because I didn't want to earn more than the others on the team." "Did you accept lower pay than you expected?" Marie asked. "Yes, because I really wanted to work for Frank," Aisha said. "But after I joined, several of us made a case that all of us in the same tier were earning less than market value and presented that to Frank." "What did he say?" Marie asked. "He called in a meeting of the whole department and we discussed whether we should change our pay structure," she said. "That was very public," Marie said. "But when everyone agreed," Aisha said, "it felt really good that it was a decision we had made together." Marie nodded. "I like that Friday breakfast is a thing now," Aisha said. Marie looked around. They were sitting in the canteen now, and Paul's cinnamon buns were neatly displayed on the buffet tables. She saw people from finance, developers, marketeers, even Nathalie and Celine. The rumours of Paul's cinnamon buns from 2 weeks ago had spread, and now Zebra was officially paying Paul to make them for Friday breakfast. Joseph had closed the deal himself. Marie had just bitten into a cinnamon bun when Joseph sat down next to her. "Marie," he said, "you are eating." Marie rolled her eyes. "Joseph," she said, "we need to talk." "No, not now, my friend," Joseph said. "Not while you're eating. I'll see you later." Joseph left for the kitchen. Marie no longer felt like eating her bun. She pushed the plate away. The past weeks, Marie had spent time interviewing the engineers about what they preferred doing, what skills they brought to the table, and which parts of ASLO they had worked with. She put all her notes up on one of the vacant whiteboards in the hallway. It looked a little bit like a pinboard of a murder case detective, with thread going from one person to the next, indicating who worked on the different elements of ASLO. Joe had helped Marie set it up with materials from Marie's former office, now dubbed the Thinker. There was a cluster of names in the corner that had all worked as Scrum Masters in their former companies. Marie had invited all of these team members to huddle at this board. "It looks like spaghetti," Lily said. "It accurately reflects our architecture," Tom said. "Is that glitter glue?" Shane asked. Marie laughed. "Yes, that is glitter, and there is more where that came from," Marie said. "Huh?" Shane said. "You have all had experience working as Scrum Masters in your former companies," Marie said. "And I have a hypothesis that we need to introduce Scrum Masters in our development teams to stop the spaghetti." "I don't know if Scrum Masters are what we need," Shane said. Marie looked at him. "You literally suggested that we need Scrum Masters at breakfast 2 weeks ago," Marie said. Shane looked down. Marie took a deep breath. I interrupted you, she said. What were you going to say? I think we need to fix our architecture first, he said. Marie felt that red-hot ball of lava in her stomach. You feel that fixing our architecture is more important than fixing the collaboration of our teams? She asked. Yes, he said. Our teams are just confused about what they should be doing. Marie looked at him. I would tend to disagree, Lily said. Our architecture is a mess because our teams are a mess. That's how it is, Tom said. Architecture follows organizational structure. How did you deal with this in your previous companies? Marie asked. We had a firm governance process of the architecture, Shane said. No one could make any changes without the architecture board's approval. We tried different things, Lily said. We tried having platform-oriented teams or having functional value stream teams. But the most important was not which teams we had, but how these teams worked. Yeah, Tom said. We had also tried different team structures, but mainly making sure that people speak to each other and feel ownership for resolving issues is what we realised was most important. How are you organised now? Marie asked. Tom and Lily looked at each other. We are organised by customer, Lily said. What does that mean? Marie asked. That means that when we get a new customer for ASLO, Tom said, Jenni assigns a team that will work on customising the platform to fit their needs. So there are many different teams changing what ASLO does at the same time? Marie asked. Yes, Lily said. And right now these teams are not talking to each other. Marie could feel blood flowing to her face. But that is not what the teams told me, she said, looking at her board. No, Shane said. Officially, we are organised according to features. But Jenni appoints people to each client from each feature team who essentially focus on that client and not the features, Lily said. Wait, Marie said. So people are in two teams? By now the feature teams don't really have anything in common, Tom said. So the customer teams are the primary team that people feel part of. But how do we resolve differences between different customers and their needs when they impact the same part of the system? Marie asked. We don't, Tom said. Shane pulled out his fist and made an explosion with his hand. Marie was sitting on the steps leading to the parking lot. There were only a couple of cars left on the lot. She had been sitting there for so long that it felt like she was sitting on 1,000 tiny needles. How could this be, she thought to herself. We have built a successful product that was really needed, that was important, and now we've made a mess out of it. She took out her phone and looked at her lock screen. It had a picture of Ali and Thomas at the beach from last year on it. She smiled. A year ago, I thought I had the best job at the best company. How didn't I notice the signs of all this decay? Why didn't I take note when Anne left that something was awry? She opened her lock screen. Should I call her? She thought. She dialed Anne. Marie counted the rings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hello, Anne said. When did it begin? Marie asked. Marie? Anne said. Yes, Marie said. What is your question? Anne asked. When did the decay begin? Marie asked. Anne was quiet. Where are you, Marie? Anne asked. In the parking lot, Marie said. Zebra's parking lot? Anne asked. Yes, Marie said. Let's meet at the coffee shop, Anne said. Isn't it closed? Marie asked. They're open until 10 p.m, Anne said. We'll be done by then. Marie parked behind the coffee shop and walked inside. Anne was already sitting in the corner that faced both sides of the street. Standing in the door, Marie gestured that she would order. Anne pointed to the table where there was already a pot of tea and 2 plates with cinnamon buns. Marie smiled and walked towards the table. Anne was wearing a venomous-looking yellow pantsuit with a black top. Marie felt slightly underdressed in her grey pencil skirt and dark blue blouse. You always look so vibrant, Marie said. Anne got up to hug her. I try to compensate for my natural dullness, Anne said, and smiled. Marie was pretty sure it was a joke, but not quite sure on whose account. Marie sat down across from Anne. You asked when it all began, Anne said. Marie nodded. What have you uncovered? Anne asked. Marie suddenly felt uneasy. Was Anne just trying to get information? And who would she share this information with? Marie looked towards the door. To her surprise, Jaque walked in. She locked eyes with him and he waved at her. Did you know that Jaque would be coming? Marie asked. Anne shook her head. Marie looked over her shoulder. Jaque was walking towards them. I was looking for you all afternoon, he said, looking at Marie. Where have you been hiding? Marie looked down at the table. She's been sitting in the parking lot, contemplating when it all began, Anne answered. Marie looked at her and smiled a half smile. Astute, she thought to herself. Anne, Jaque said, nodding in her direction. Jaque, Anne said. They looked at each other for a couple of seconds, expressionless. What is this? Marie thought to herself. We are in the same boat however we twist and turn it, aren't we? Jaque said, still looking at Anne. It would appear so, Anne said. Jaque shrugged and sat down. He took Marie's plate with her cinnamon bun and took a bite. Marie raised an eyebrow. You never eat these things anyway, Jaque said. Not according to Joseph. Marie rolled her eyes. Then it struck her. Which boat exactly are we all in? What did you mean before? Marie asked. What? Jaque said, taking another bite of the bun. You mean about us all being in the same boat? Anne said. Marie felt like rolling her eyes again. Anne always coming to the rescue. Yes, Marie said. What did you mean by that? Jaque took a sip of Marie's tea. Hey, Marie said. I'd already taken a sip of that. Jaque shrugged. We are all one big sharing family now, he said. Or at least we're going to be. Marie slammed the palm of her hand against the table. Enough, she said. And it was indeed enough to get the whole coffee shop to turn their heads towards Marie. Marie blushed, slouched her back, and spoke softly. You're both going to tell me what's going on right now, she said. Jaque took another sip of Marie's tea and angled his chair towards her. Marie, he said, I was looking for you because I needed someone to talk to about the current financial situation at Zebra Apps. I need someone with a cool head to help me make sense of it. He smiled. I'm not sure you are the cool-headed person I thought you were, he said. Marie gently hit him on his shoulder. Ow, he said, and rubbed his shoulder. You are spending way too much time with our engineers. You're turning into a dude. He laughed a roaring laugh. Why are you spending time with the engineers? Anne asked. Because ASLO is broken because our teams are broken, Marie said. So I've moved in with the engineers to help mend our team culture. Anne nodded. You're going in the work, Anne said. Have you been talking to Jason? Marie said. I have, Anne said and smiled. We are not anonymous, Anne continued. You know who we are. The two of you I have figured out, Marie said. But who else is there? I am one, Jaque said, raising his hand. Marie raised her eyebrows. You are in cahoots with Anne and Jason? She asked. Is that so hard to believe? Jaque said. I also want Zebra to survive. Marie threw her hands up in the air. Is Nathalie a part of this rescue effort? She said. Jaque shook his head. You know, he said, I think she really is trying to be, in her own way, doing the things she thinks she should be doing, but she is too scared to see the full picture. And what is the full picture? Marie asked. Jaque looked from one side to the other. He looked over his shoulder. Then he pulled his chair closer to the table and leaned in towards both Marie and Anne. Even though Nathalie has been chasing impossible sales targets, keeping all our expenses under control and not investing in any new products, he paused, we have never been less profitable. He leaned back in his chair. I've been going through the numbers with our accountants, he said, who are very open and transparent, I must say. No hiding of anything and no bullshitting around. Frank built a seriously great finance team. Marie looked at him. And? She asked. Oh, I'm losing my train of thought, Jaque said, but they really are a pleasure to work with. They've been trying to get Nathalie's attention for the past year, but she won't listen. I know how that feels, Anne said. What are they trying to get her attention towards? Marie asked. That we're leaking money, Jaque said. We may not be able to survive until the end of the year. Marie opened her mouth. The first thing that rushed through her mind was that she was the reason Jason had come back to Zebra, and now he may be out of a job by the end of the year. But ASLO is used across most schools across the region, Marie said, and we've just entered Germany and have a hard time keeping up with our orders there. All that is true, Anne said, but we charge a flat installation fee and a yearly subscription fee per institution. Most of the cost of new development is not covered by that. Jaque raised a finger in the air. Exactly, he said. Our business model is optimized to get money now, not to build a sustainable company. Marie looked out into the street. It was getting dark now. There was almost no traffic anymore, even though the street was almost always busy. Marie, Anne said, it's not just the teams that are struggling. Marie looked at her. Nathalie is struggling too, Jaque said. Is that why Richard was at that buyers' meeting? Marie said. Is Convatec going to buy us? I asked Richard to take that meeting, Jaque said. I would have bet my money on Anne, Marie said. I did not know the state of Zebra's finances, Anne said. But how would Convatec benefit from purchasing Zebra? Marie asked. We are not even in the same industry. And that is why it's a hard thing to make happen, Jaque said, and why we need your help. The alternatives are worse, Anne said. What are the alternatives? Marie asked. Closing Zebra apps? Why do you think we did not offer ASLO to children fleeing from the war in Ukraine? Jaque asked. Marie's eyes widened. There are some buyers that could be worse than a bad product match, Anne said, Who did Nathalie try to sell to? Marie exclaimed. I don't know for sure, Anne said, and I don't have any proof. But I do, Jaque said. I've gone through Nathalie's expenses from last year. There are several trips to Russia. That is not proof, Anne said. That can't be, Marie said. She wouldn't. And also, how could she enter Russia at all? To be fair, Jaque said, I don't know what the deal would be about. And also, we clearly did not make a deal. So perhaps Nathalie had a change of heart and didn't go through with it, Anne said. Or the deal fell through, Jaque said. But who is Nathalie? Marie asked. And what matters to her? I think Richard is the person to ask, Jaque said, nodding towards the door. Marie followed Jack's gaze and saw an older man with a white beard entering the coffee shop. Marie did not feel like getting out of bed that Saturday. The conversation with Jaque, Richard and Anne kept replaying in her head, and she kept getting annoyed that Jaque had eaten her cinnamon bun. Why does everyone think that I don't eat? Marie thought to herself. There was a knock on her bedroom door. Come in, Marie shouted. Thomas popped his head in. He had been watching cartoons with Ali in the living room while Marie lay in the bedroom in the dark. Would you mind Ali watching cartoons up here with you for a while? He asked. I really want to go for a run. Ali walked in holding her iPad and wearing her kitty ear headphones. Come here, sweetie, Marie said as Ali climbed into bed with her. Marie kissed her cheeks and snuggled into her hair. Would you mind opening the curtains before you go? Marie asked. Thomas opened the curtains and the French doors of the balcony. So you get some fresh air, he said. Have a nice run, Marie said. Thomas closed the door to the bedroom behind him. Marie stroked Ali's hair and her fluffy pyjamas. What are you watching, baby? Marie asked. What? Ali said. Marie took one side of her earphones off. What are you watching? Marie repeated. Ali paused and looked at Marie. It's about an elephant who wants to be a bird because he is friends with birds. But he is unhappy because he cannot fly. Then one day the bird's tree falls down and the elephant can put it back up because he's strong, Ali said. So he understands that it's good to be an elephant, Marie says. Yes, Ali says. Now, no more questions while I watch it. Marie smiled. Okay, baby, she said. Let's just snuggle. Ali took Marie's hand and put it over herself. Marie dozed off, feeling comforted by the warmth of her daughter. Then a thought struck her. What kind of animal would zebra apps be? And what is it inherently good at? And are we trying to be a different animal altogether? And is that why we are sad? She got up and went to the kitchen to get a pad of paper. Lily, Tom and Joe greeted Marie in the conference room on the engineering floor. The room was plastered with brown paper, and on the whiteboard the drawing that Marie had made Saturday based on Ali's cartoon had been replicated. This looks good, Marie said, nodding at Lily, Tom and Joe. We thought it through in the thinker, Lily said. Joe beamed. Is she coming? Tom asked. Marie looked towards the door. She is, Marie said. I don't think that she will like this, Lily said. Marie breathed. She is the head of engineering, Marie said, and ultimately it is her decision how we are organised. I like that you say we, Tom said. Marie smiled. One of us, Lily chanted. One of us, Tom repeated. I think we should have invited Ibrahim, Drew, Jason and Shane too, Joe said. It is not fair that we are representing some of their ideas. Marie mentally rolled her eyes. Sometimes Joe's idealism got in the way of actually getting things done. I understand, Marie said, but we do not want to recreate the mutiny. Are you mutineering again? Jenni said. Marie jumped up and turned towards the door. "Hi, Jenni," she said. "What is all this?" Jenni said, looking around the room. "We have traced the quality problems we have with ASLO to the way we are organised," Lily said, "and we would like to take you through our thinking." Jenni looked up and down Lily. Lily held her gaze firmly locked on Jenni. Marie looked from one to the other, never realising that there may be tension between the two. "You're never one to hold back on your opinions, are you, Lily?" Jenni said, emphasising Lily. Marie raised her eyebrows and looked at Jo. Jo looked back at Marie and shrugged. "Jenni?" Marie started. "Would you prefer that we take you through this in a smaller group still?" Jenni looked at Marie, showing her teeth. Marie looked around at Lily, Tom and Jo. "Would you please excuse us?" Marie said. "But," Jo started, but stopped when Marie slowly shook her head. "Let us know if you need anything," Tom said. They walked out of the room. Jenni's shoulders dropped. "What was that about?" Marie asked. "What?" Jenni asked. "You're not a fan of Lily?" Marie said. Jenni shook her head. "Gotta know it all," Jenni said. "Anything you want to talk about?" Marie said. Jenni looked at Marie. "Thank you for getting her out of my hair," she said, and sat down on the conference table, facing the whiteboard. "Why am I looking at an elephant?" Jenni asked. Marie laughed. "Inspiration strikes in weird places sometimes," Marie said. "I'll say," Jenni said. Marie walked over to the whiteboard. "Let's take it from the beginning," Marie said. She also walked over to the right side of the board. "ASLO is like an elephant. Or it doesn't matter what animal it is one specific animal. And if we try to fight our natural instinct for what we are, we will never succeed. The whole purpose of this exercise is to define with you what sort of animal ASLO is, and how we organise ourselves to make sure we actually align with our animal spirit." Jenni smiled a crooked smile. "That is serious HR mumbo-jumbo, Marie," Jenni said. Marie froze. Jenni smiled even broader. "Wouldn't we be a zebra?" Jenni said, "if ASLO was an animal?" Marie's shoulders dropped. She chuckled. "Somehow I didn't think of that," Marie said. "That would have been a more obvious choice. Zebra it is then," Jenni said. Marie nodded. "Take me through your mumbo-jumbo," Jenni said. Marie took a deep breath. She walked over to the brown paper that was tacked to the wall. She drew a circle. "These are our customers," Marie said. "They're mainly schools and other educational institutions." Jenni nodded. "They pay a flat fee for getting on the platform, and then they can use it for as many students as they wish," Marie said. "Yes," Jenni said. "Nathalie's vision was to make sure we are in every classroom all over the country, and now also in every classroom in Germany. And we are in fact in most classrooms already," Marie said. "So much so that our engineers are cornered by unhappy parents and teachers when they go about their day. But for every instance of ASLO, we do considerable adjustments to the platform," Marie said. She drew another circle. "To do so, we create a brand new team every time we win a new customer," Marie said. "Yes," Jenni said. "Those are our delivery teams. They make sure that the customer is happy with their system and that they can use it in the way they would like. They keep in daily touch with their customer and keep adjusting the platform even after the initial implementation period." "Exactly," Marie said. She drew smaller circles inside the delivery team circle. "In the delivery team, we have individual developers," she said, "and these developers technically belong to feature teams." She drew a bigger circle next to the delivery team. "This is our whole platform," she said. She drew circles inside the platform circle and lines between the team members in the delivery team circle and the smaller circles in the platform teams. "Yes," Jenni said. That is how we make sure that the changes we make for each client actually are aligned across the entire platform. But what defines these feature teams? Marie asked. They have common backlogs, Jenni said. Does anyone maintain those backlogs? Marie asked. Jenni was about to object. I don't want to put you on the spot, Marie said. We looked into this. The feature team backlogs are not maintained. The feature teams do not sit together. People sit with their delivery teams. The stand-ups for the feature teams are non-existent. De facto, these teams do not exist. Jenni looked at the circles Marie had drawn. So even though we have a mechanism for adjudicating changes to the platform, in reality, it doesn't happen, Marie said. Jenni kept looking at the board. Marie sat down on the table next to Jenni and also looked at the board. So that is why ASLO is breaking, Jenni said, still looking ahead. I think so, Marie said. Marie looked at Jenni. But it is also an issue that we do not actually fund the feature teams. We only fund delivery and not the continuous improvement we need to do to maintain a solid platform, Marie said. That is Jaque's department, Jenni said. Marie smiled. I think you and I should also talk to Jaque, Marie said.
You're listening to Maneuvering Mondays, a podcast about transforming work culture. Tune in when we invite guests to comment on this part of Marie's journey. What are your thoughts on Marie's situation? Have you had a similar experience? And what would you have done? Join the conversation on our LinkedIn page and let's maneuver Mondays together.